Thanks for being here today, Joe.
Thank you for being here.
What I would like to ask, following through with what you've just mentioned, especially considering the tax issues that come with healthcare, as our country, as the administration is looking at the best possible healthcare plan for all of us, what does the HRC have to say about healthcare that will truly help those of us in the GLBT community to have affordable, accessible healthcare?
Well, I think two things, and one is, and I could talk for an hour about this, but I'll kind of simplify it into two areas. That whatever moves are being made to provide greater health care and bring down the barriers to health care in this country, that LGBT people be a part of that conversation. And that more specifically, and I'll give you an example about that, more specifically that the Department of Health and Human Services set up, as they have with other constituencies, an LGBT health care section at the Department of Health and Human Services to look at real disparities that exist within our community. And then I really do believe at the Center for Disease Control and with regard to HIV and AIDS and domestically, they are doing what they should be doing. Now, the irony, of course, to the first point is, I was at the White House Healthcare Summit making the case about, a classic barrier that we should bring down to health care for same-sex couples is to eliminate the tax on domestic partnership benefits, to which someone said to me, well, that's okay, don't worry about that because everyone's going to get taxed on their health care. So we're going to make you just like everybody else now. But as that debate moves forward, and as that happens, and being in those meetings and in those settings, we are at the very least able to say, well, as you tier those things and look at income hierarchies, that again we are part of that equation as well.
Thanks. Hi, Joe. My name is Kevin Schmatzer. I'm with the City of Cleveland. I was one of the first people on that day last month that, with my partner and I, we registered for when the City of Cleveland recognized us. A question to you and a comment. You mentioned there are 30-some states that on the books that do not allow gay marriage there. I think in order to change that, we have to make a lot of new friends. We have to make a lot of new friends, and we have to make a lot of new friends in areas that people have been very quiet. Recently, like one thing to make new friends is maybe certain religions or something that would be very difficult. If I were to go into a Mormon church and stand up in front of a group like this, I might have to duck at all the Bibles that would be flown at me, similar like that very wonderful gentleman that threw his shoes at somebody you all know and love. But maybe like the sporting industry. I mean, it's very quiet across, whether it's professional or something, it's very quiet. Maybe that might be something to focus on and get somebody to stand up and to say something like that. And that's just a comment to really help our cause in these 30-some states that really need to change. So, that might be something, I don't know what your thought is on that, but it is very quiet though.
Well, sometimes being a leader means recognizing when not to lead, and I'm going to volunteer not to be the bridge to the sporting community. But I think it's a very good, it's a very good suggestion. And quite frankly, when people, John Amici, the basketball player, when he came out, I mean, the amount of press and the amount of, and it wasn't the best process for him because, of course, someone else on his team said really horrible things to say about him. But it really did call so many other people in professional basketball to have something to say about it and to take a position and to bring down that wall. And it's been a difficult, to talk to him or to talk to other people who have come forward and worked with us. Billy Bean, who played professional baseball. See, I know a little bit about this stuff. It's been really interesting to hear them talk about the reluctance, particularly of people who play team sports, to be out and open while they're still working. But as whenever we have the opportunity, and I think John Amici coming out, it was a great example to just sort of watch what happened in that environment. And again, going back to my point, going into an institutional setting and seeing how one person being out forces everyone around him to change, or at least to state where they stand.
Joe, thank you again for being here as part of this series. One of the questions I wanted to ask you was about the Human Quality Index and the socially or the economically conscious consumer of the members that you have. And could you talk about, some of the impacts relative to buying power, relative to how conscious people who are part of or members of the campaign really look at companies and organizations and make buying and purchasing decisions?
I think it's huge. I mean, one of the things that we always say when we work with our corporate allies, and I mentioned this, is that we always attempt to make the business case. We always attempt to inspire corporate America to do a better job by their LGBT workforce because it's good for business, because it creates and it really inspires a diverse, satisfied, rich workforce. But there is no denying the consumer marketing side of this, and the community. There are all sorts of numbers. I mean, billions of dollars that this community represents in terms of buying power. We put something out every year called Buying for Equality, and it is that what it's called? Buying for Equality. We put out a lot of. It's like emails. We put out a lot of things, but you can download it online, and it is not just it is not just simply the rating of where these companies are, but it categorizes them by industry, and it categorizes them in terms of green, yellow, red, and which are the best places to shop at. And last time we put it out, 500,000 people, 500,000 people downloaded it and report to us that they use it. And we certainly hear from our friends in corporate America that they use it. People from places like Whole Foods tell us that they get reports from people at the cash register who say they're thrilled that Whole Foods scores 100% because imagine how tragic that would be. So.
Hi, this isn't legislative, this is more personal, but my husband and I are the proud parents of a gay son and a lesbian daughter, and how can we get the rest of the country, and there's more of us in his room too, other people to understand what it's like to be the parents of where all these people and legislators think it's perfectly acceptable and even nice to discriminate against our children. I mean, I've really had enough of this.
Well, our straight allies, as a community, when we look up and outside of ourselves and we welcome in our straight allies to do this work with us, you are the most powerful advocates and ambassadors that we have. And you only need to talk to Jane Daroff, who is a great straight ally of HRC, who walks the halls of Congress. And in her Jane Daroff way, I'm sure has put a couple of members of Congress up against the wall and made a very passionate case for equality. But it's incredibly powerful. We have lobbying day at HRC twice a year. I think we had 300 people most recently walking the halls of Congress, telling their stories, telling the stories of their children. And you are absolutely the kind of people and the members of this community that we need to add to our ranks. Great. Thank you.
As I sat there, I asked myself the question about liberty and justice for all, and what part of that don't our legislators understand? Today at the City Club of Cleveland Forum, we've been listening to Joe Solmonese, President of the Human Rights Campaign. Thank you, Mr. Solmonese. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This forum is now adjourned.
For information on upcoming speakers or for podcasts of the City Club, go to cityclub.org.